The air was thick with the scent of damp moss and pine needles when Nathaniel Nate Harper, a 43-year-old carpenter, fresh off a bruising divorce, first set foot on the 15-acre Lakeside property in northern Michigan I'd inherited from my reclusive uncle, Ezekiel Harper. It was late September, and the amber leaves crunched under my boots as I surveyed the land, a pristine stretch of forest, hugging the glassy shore of Crystal Lake, where herons skimmed the water and the distant call of loons echoed like a promise of peace. After years of city noise and courtroom battles over custody of my 16-year-old son, Liam, this place felt like a lifeline. A chance to build a simple cedar cabin where I could hammer out my frustrations and maybe prove to Liam I wasn't the failure his mother claimed. Uncle Zeke, a wiry old man who'd vanished into these woods in the 80s, had always been the family oddball, showing up at reunions with mud-caked boots and cryptic warnings about land that holds more than meets the eye. When his lawyer called, saying I'd inherited this slice of paradise, I cashed out my savings, quit my Detroit contracting job, and started sketching a modest home 1,200 square feet, just enough for me and weekend visits from Liam. By day 4, with the foundation poured and the first cedar logs stacked, the rhythm of saw and hammer was therapy, each nail a step toward redemption. That's when she appeared, Evelyn Strathmore, president of the Crystal Shores Homeowners Association, striding across my property like a general claiming enemy territory, her tailored blazer clashing with the wild sage and her heels sinking into the soft earth as she waved a clipboard, and barked that my shack violated community standards and had to come down in 48 hours or face legal ruin. Evelyn was a force of nature, with a platinum bob sharp enough to cut glass and a perfume so potent it drowned out the lake's clean air. "Mr. Harper," she said, her voice dripping with condescension as she pronounced my name like a curse. "This unauthorized construction threatens our property values and violates multiple covenants. No permits, no architectural review, no environmental compliance." I set down my circular saw, wiping sweat from my brow, and took in the surreal scene, her pristine Lexus parked on my dirt path, 2 more SUVs idling behind with neighbors glaring like I'd burned their lawns. "I'm building on my own land," I said, gesturing to the untouched wilderness stretching to the horizon. "What community? I don't see any houses." Evelyn's smile was a blade. "The Crystal Shores HOA governs all properties within our jurisdiction, including this plot," she said, thrusting a CI stand assist order at me, demanding I halt construction and pay $3,000 in fines for aesthetic violations. She claimed Uncle Zeke had signed their covenants a year ago, binding me to their rules. But Zeke had died 14 months ago, a fact that made her timeline as shaky as her logic. "You have 48 hours, she said, her eyes raking over my work boots and faded flannel. "Or daily fines start at $600, doubling weekly. We take our standards seriously, Mr. Harper. This isn't the place for your kind." The jab at my blue-collar roots stung. But the real blow came when she mentioned Liam. "I'd hate for your son to hear about any trouble here. Kids talk, you know." The threat to my boy lit a fire in my gut, but I kept my voice steady. "I'll look into this," I said, clutching her papers as her convoy peeled out, gravel spitting like gunfire. The next morning, Evelyn escalated, returning with a lawyer who looked like he'd been dragged from a discount law firm's clearance bin Harold Voss. All nervous ticks and a suit 2 sizes too big, stammering about $12,000 in retroactive penalties and a claim that I'd missed HOA disclosure during the property transfer, potentially voiding my ownership. The air reeked of his cheap cologne and her smug certainty as they stood on my land, acting like they'd already won. I drove to the county courthouse that afternoon, where a clerk named Margie, with her warm smile and a nose for shady deals, helped me dig through records. The musty smell of old ledgers filled the air as we uncovered a bombshell. The Crystal Shores HOA was formed 10 months ago, for months after Zeke's death, with boundaries drawn like a noose around my 15 acres, which made up 70% of their so-called jurisdiction. Every HOA member was tied to Evelyn, her cousins, her husband's real estate partners, her yoga instructor. This wasn't a community board. It was a cartel. Margie's eyes widened over the maps. "They targeted your land. Nate, this smells like a land grab. Dead men don't sign contracts. And I owned this property free and clear before their HOA existed." Armed with this, I called Rachel Torres, a real estate attorney whose office smelled of fresh espresso and righteous fury. "This is a scam," Rachel said, spreading deeds across her desk. "They're trying to bully you out for something big. We're countersuing for harassment and fraud." Evelyn didn't wait for my response. By day 6, she'd launched a digital smear campaign, creating a Crystal Shores Safety Watch Facebook group that painted me as a drifter squatting on sacred land. Posts with my photo stolen from an old union newsletter called me a transient threat who endangered children, with comments like "protect our kids" and "Sheriff, do your job." The lies stung, but the real pain hit when Liam called. His voice shaky. "Dad, kids at school are saying you're some kind of criminal. Is it true?" My heart sank, the pine-scented air turning bitter as I assured him it was all lies. "I'm fighting for our home, kid. Hang tight." Evelyn's next move was dirtier. An anonymous EPA complaint claimed my construction was poisoning the lake, though the only water on my land was a clear spring that had flowed for centuries. Then came the sabotage, nails scattered across my access road. My generator tipped over, diesel soaking the soil with a stench that burned my throat. At night, cars parked just shy of my property line, their drivers claiming to be concerned citizens while blocking my supply deliveries. My contractor, Pete, called in a panic. Nate, clients are asking if I'm tied to an environmental disaster. I can't touch your site until this clears. Evelyn was weaponizing my own community against me, turning neighbors into pawns in her chess game. Desperate to fight back, I dug deeper with Rachel. At the courthouse, we found the real prize, a $60 million resort deal from Lakeside Ventures, a developer needing my land as the centerpiece for a luxury marina. Evelyn's husband, a silent partner, stood to earn a $500,000 commission if they secured my acres. The HOA is $900,000 in special assessments. From 15 houses, $60,000 per family, had no paper trail, no projects to show for it. Rachel grinned like a wolf. She's stealing from her own people to force you out. This is federal fraud. I installed motion sensor cameras that night. The hum of my electrician's tools, a reminder of my old trade. Capturing a hooded figure of Ellen's nephew, Kyle spraying paint on my cabin at 2 a.m. The footage was gold. His face clear as day. Under my I took it to Sheriff Daniels, a grizzled man who sighed at the video. Evelyn's brother runs the county planning board. This stinks of corruption. He promised to investigate but warned me to watch my back. Evelyn's desperation peaked with a vicious lie. A forged medical report from a deceased doctor claiming I was mentally unstable, paired with a court petition to have me committed. She even rallied a citizen patrol of neighbors with hunting rifles, circling my land like vigilantes. Liam's next call broke me. Dad, Mom says they're calling you a psycho online. I don't know what to believe. I swallowed rage, promising him the truth would come out. Rachel filed for emergency injunctions, citing defamation and forgery. While we uncovered Evelyn's latest blunder, she'd posted the HOA's financials online to prove her legal fund, revealing $870,000 in unaccounted funds. The community turned, with HOA treasurer Clara Jenkins whispering to Rachel about fake invoices and threats from Evelyn to silence dissent. At a packed community meeting, Evelyn took the podium, her slides branding me a menace with doctored photos of my tools as weapons. I stood, holding Uncle Zeke's steel lockbox, found under his cabin floorboards. Inside was the deed to the lake itself. Zeke's company, Harper Holdings, owned the water rights to Crystal Lake, including every dock in the HOA's gated marina. You've been charging fees for docks on my water, I said, spreading deeds for the cameras. You don't own this community. I do. The room erupted, gasps, shouts, chairs scraping as neighbors realized they'd been tenants on my lake. Evelyn's face drained of color as she lunged for the documents, screaming about her rights, until Sheriff Daniels cuffed her for fraud and attempted arson caught on my cameras. I offered a deal. Harassers like Evelyn had 30 days to leave. Honest neighbors got reduced dock fees and a chance to buy their water access at cost. Evelyn got 20 months in prison and $200,000 in restitution. Liam moved in part-time, helping finish the cabin, his pride in me brighter than the lake at sunrise. The HOA dissolved, replaced by a co-op where neighbors shared barbecue and tools, not threats. The resort deal collapsed when I donated the lake's edge to a conservation trust, ensuring its beauty for Liam's kids. As I sat on my porch, the loons' calls mingling with barbecue smoke from Clara's yard, I knew Uncle Zeke's secret had built something better than revenge, a community where truth outshone lies.